Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I got a secret. Shh, don't tell my husband. I got a haul of orchids from SVO, Sunset Valley Orchids, and I wanted to share those with you today. And the first one I wanted to start with, I didn't want to bore you with unboxing and taking all the paper out, all that stuff. Been there, done that. You guys aren't interested in that. You're interested in the plants, just like I am. All right, so the first one here, this is how each of them individually are packaged in a box. They all came great in a box, but each one is individually has all of this, looks like Easter egg tissue paper. You know, get a basket for Easter, and you're all excited about what you could put in that Easter basket. Well, I like orchids, so that's what I got. Okay, the first one is a mini Cattleya. This is an SLC Candy Sparks Red Candy Stripe crossed with an SLC in memorial of Trudy Marsh Sunblast. So here's the tag. So I just wanted to show you the tag, and I'll put up in this corner what the potential of this plant could be. Like I said, it's a mini cat, so it's going to remain small. So here it is now, and as I'm looking at it, this is a new growth here, right here. And I don't see any more new growths at this time. This one hasn't started producing any roots yet for this new growth. Says they'll remain about 6 inches tall before they're ready to bloom. It's possible that this one could bloom. It's still possible. I will put up a picture, like I said, of what the potential is of what this will look like. And we'll put it right there. Alrighty, the next one I want to start off with is I got a primary hybrid of, this one is a cross of two species that then makes it a primary hybrid. And this is Cattleya Orchid. And this was registered in 1890. So I like history and genealogy and all that kind of interesting stuff. And so I was really intrigued that this one was registered in 1890. So I wanted to have this one. And so here is the cross right there of the two species. So let's look at this plant here. There again, each of these plants, I'll put right here in the corner what they have the potential of looking like. Now I say potential because each one of these plants are not mericlones. They're not going to be identical to the flower. These are seedlings. So each of them genetically will have, just like you and me, varieties, different colors, that kind of thing. Okay, so we do have good roots on this one. You see? See those nice little juicy little root tips there? And I have a tendency to like the big frilly Cattleyas. This one does have a new growth. I don't know if y'all saw that, but we've got the root tips right here. Well, way down right there is a new little growth coming out of this pseudobulb here, which does look like this is the newest pseudobulb. So we'll definitely want to keep an eye on that. Anyway, I have a tendency to like all of those big frilly Cattleyas, and with nice round sepals and petals and lips. So I went with that primary hybrid. Then I got several other plants that had that hybrid as parents in the parentage. So I got two of a cross of BLC William Farrell Native Son crossed with Cattleya dubiosa Scullies. And this one is has an award in HCC with the AOS, with the American Orchid Society. So I got two of those. Like I said, that each of these can bloom differently. According to Sunset Valley's website, William Farrell is an apricot petaled color variation of the William Farrell orchid. And it is crossed with the Dubioso alba form, the white form. Scully is a white form. So one of the first blooms that Sunset Valley Orchids has been white. Typically, this will probably be in the pink and the pastel colors. So I got 2 of them just to kind of see what the difference in the variation is going to be. I love pink flowers. And so let's look at each of these 2 here. All right, so the first one here is a nice big tall new growth. So you can see here where the last growth, let's take the tag out here. The last growth here, the pseudobulb would have stopped right here. The sheath, not the sheath, excuse me, but the outer protective covering would have been up to about right here. Okay, look how fat that little pseudobulb is. Well, this next one, look all the way up here before the leaf starts to come out. So this is going to be a very nice size, good, tall, new growth on this particular plant itself. The new growth does not have any roots coming out yet, some root tips. And what I like to do with my orchids, this is something that I have just started trying. I've been growing orchids, people, look, I've been growing orchids longer than my kids and their age. In fact, cute little story, my son, who is my youngest, is going to be 26 soon. And I was a member of an orchid society locally, and we had an auction every year. And he was probably like 2 months old. And I went to the auction with him. They tried to auction off him. They called him a kiki. Was going to auction him off. Anyway, I got him back. Luckily, I didn't have to bid on him or anything like that. But I don't know how we digressed to there. So let's get back on task. I've been growing orchids for a really, really long time, several decades. Later, as we delve further into this channel, I'm definitely going to show you some of the orchids that I've had for at least over 20 years, decades, that I still have in my collection. Okay, so the second plant here of the William Farrell crossed with Dubiosa is this one here. And again, we have a very nice new growth here. The last growth is this one right here, this little one here. I'm impressed with Sunset Valley Orchids, to be honest. The pseudobulbs look phenomenal. No dehydration that I see in them. So these 2 are just, I'm gonna love that. So I'm hoping that these will be pink with yellow in their lips. That's what I'm hoping on those. Like I said, I do love pink flowers. All right, then the next one that I got there again, I got 2. I want to see the variations in these plants. I got the BLC Dubious George SVO crossed with BLC Schroeder's Love SVO. Both of them have been awarded by the American Orchid Society. One has an HCC and the other has an AM, an Award of Merit. And that was the tag on them. This is potentially what they could look like, or at least let's look at, instead of looking at what the cross is going to look like, because I don't think they've had any first blooms yet. Let's look at the 2 parents. So I've got a picture here where you'll see both of the parents. Now, Dubious George, that is crossed with Dubiosa, okay? And it's crossed with BLC George Seps. Now, George Seps is a cross between the famous BLC George King Serendipity, which is a peach color large standard Cattleya. You'll see that one later in some videos that I have coming up. That is one of the orchids that I have been growing for decades. It's massive. It's a huge plant, and I'll definitely be showing you that one. That usually blooms, for me, it blooms around December, November, December-ish. So it's going to be a winter bloomer for sure. So Dubious George, there again, is crossed with Dubiosa and then the George Seps. The George Seps is the one that's the George King, but then it's crossed back to a species, Laelia anceps. I love that flower shape, actually. I will probably eventually someday get one of those particular plants because I do love them so much. But for now, crosses, hybrids with them are fine. So these 2 plants here, both of them here, have new growth on them. This one actually has 2 new growths on this plant. So we have About to knock plants over here. We have this one here, real nice pseudobulb here. This particular pseudobulb is bifoliate, and some of the other pseudobulbs here are unifoliate. This one is decided it's going to be unifoliate, which is fine. Doesn't harm the plant or anything. But some of these back bulbs here also have another new growth here. And this one looks up here is like it's going to be a unifoliate. So like I was trying to say earlier, one of the things that I have started doing in growing the orchids is I've just recently been introduced to the kelp, the seaweed and the kelp extracts, adding those, as well as Cali Magic, which is a magnesium and calcium supplement to add to your fertilizing regimen. It's different than Cal Mag. If somebody says Cal Mag, that is probably a fertilizer that happens to have Cal Mag, calcium and magnesium in it. But I'm using the fertilizer, which is your food for your plants, as well as vitamins, which is the supplements of the Cal Magic and the seaweed. The kelp, the seaweed kelp, we'll do another video on that as far as what progress I have seen thus far in my orchids. I've got some that are phenomenal. I'm just like blown away. I'm used to 1 or 2 roots maybe with your orchids over the decades, but some unbelievable 7 roots coming out. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm really impressed with these products, and we'll talk about those later. All right, the next one here of the Dubious George crossed with the Schroeder's Love has one really nice, fat, juicy little pseudobulb here growing out of it to about right here. And then the leaves are starting to come out. So this one's going to be another bifoliate little pseudobulb here. Good fat pseudobulbs here. Tear some of this off and you can see the short little stubby little pseudobulbs, which are just great. Okay, so we've talked about Dubioso and that being in the parentage of several of the orchids that I got. The next one here, I think, to be honest, I love the BLC William Farrell Native Sun. It's gorgeous. So I think I was trying to get as close to, because those plants, I can't seem to be able to buy those right now. Doesn't seem to have anybody that has them available, not even a division that I've been able to find. So I thought, okay, let's do a lot of plants that are crossed with William Farrell Native Sun. So this is another one, BLC William Farrell Native Sun, crossed with BLC Kaboom Sunset Valley Orchids cultivar, the SVO. Now, Kaboom is a bright, beautiful yellow. William Farrell is like I said, is the peach colors. So this cross is, they're planning, speculating, hoping for, trying to breed for more of the pastel colors. Now, one thing that I do not know is I do not know the ultimate height of a lot of these plants, mature size, when they're going to start blooming. These are classified as they're compact. Compact to me probably means the rhizome between pseudobulb and the next pseudobulb is going to be more compact and more shortened, where instead of some of your standard cattleyas that can get up to 2 feet tall, the rhizome, the spacing between the pseudobulbs can be lengthy. So these are considered compact. So that's my definition of compact. I also hope compact means shorter plants, because when I grow in the windows, okay? Always have grown indoors in windows. Never been able to afford a greenhouse. We won't go down that path. So everything is grown indoors, in windows, in southern exposure. So I need things that are going to be shorter, even though I do have some big standard cattleyas that are massively big. I wanted to buy ones that were supposedly a little bit smaller, okay? All right, so that takes care of our hybrids crossed with or have anything to do with Dubioso and William Farrell, okay? That's what I got. There are 5 plants, 6 if you count the Dubioso itself, okay, the primary hybrid.